ever-expanding resume and the tasty beverage as well. So I want to educate you a little bit on beer, a little bit on myself. Beer's been a passion of mine since the law allowed it, possibly a little earlier. There are 4 ingredients in every beer. There's water, barley, hops, and yeast. Each interconnect and affect each other. So with water, water is the basis. Water will undergird the finest beer. So I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, arguably the beer capital, the former beer capital of the United States. Since then I've lived in 15 states, all over the place, picking up a little flavor here, a little flavor there, every town that I sat in. My family, my wife Jennifer and I moved to Charlotte about 3 years ago. We had our 2 boys here, Raleigh, who's 2 years old in 2 weeks, and Liam, who's 7 months old. We also have our 2 dogs, Margot and Luna, so we have a pretty packed, pretty full house. Charlotte is probably the longest length of time that stayed in one place in 14 years. So I guess this is now home. This is now the base. So the base set, it's time to add the barley and the base flavors. Combination of several complex grains. So my educational history went on and on, about 7 years. So started out at Johnson & Wales University, got a culinary degree from there, then moved on, various minors, etc., and went on to Appalachian State University, got my BS in Foods and Nutrition, minors in Biology, Chemistry, Exercise Science. So you take food, science, college, we'll end up with beer. Pretty important. After college, I went out into the working world, about 10 years in the catering field, and took on a job as a corporate executive chef, and did that for about a year and a half before settling down and taking on my own unit. Stayed there another year and a half before my wife and her family called me back to Charlotte. Told me to come back to Charlotte, really. So once again, this is now my house. This is now my home. And the spice in every beer. If you've got the water, if you've got the grains, now all you have is a sweetened soup. Let's add a little spice into it. That'd be the hops. So beer, I love it. It's complex. It's food. It's full of flavor. It combines biology, chemistry, and food. I don't know how you can get any better. My first beer that I had, not to be confused with drum juice, would be Maudit by Unibrew. It was a Belgian dark ale. My best friend at the time, and later my best man, sampled it for me. And from the dark chestnut amber color that it had to the aromas of dark fruit, the flavors of apricot, it was wonderful. Champagne carbonation, just couldn't be beat. I was hooked from then on out. And then after that, about 4 years ago, I started homebrewing. I love it. You create your own recipes, you make it exactly how you want it, and sometimes you win and sometimes you lose. My first beer was probably my second best behind my current one, a Belgian double charred pumpkin ale. It's going to be beautiful right in time for Thanksgiving, so very excited about that. Now, after joining the Toastmasters, decided to also join the Carolina Brewmasters. So kind of working everything in together. So it's been great, enjoying both so far. Now it brings all these elements together. The water, barley, the hops, is the yeast. Yeast is the catalyst, the yeast is what drives it. So my job is for success, for continuing education, for continuing to learn, continuing to try new things. It's one of the things that brought me to Toastmasters. So my goals in the future, I want to do a lot more home brewing. I want to enter more competitions, win more competitions, become a beer judge style professional, which is a little bit harder than just tasting a sip here and there. And at one point in time, maybe open up a brewery of my own. So, much like the properly combined elements of a beer recipe, I reward myself each week after Toastmasters by trying a new brew. And not that Toastmasters is not a reward in and of itself, but 52 different beers a year, that'll work out nicely. This week I intended to share and sample one with you, but traffic has held up, so we'll hold it off till next week. Cheers. Madam Toastmaster.